This video is going to cover how to paint a backlit wave in acrylics on an 8 by 10 inch canvas. So these are the brushes you'll need. From left to right, there's a 3-inch, 2-inch, and a 1-inch. And these are just straight edge wash brushes, and we're going to use these to make that soft glowing background. Then you have a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch. Same thing. We use those just to build shapes and fill in spots. Next, you got a filbert brush, and this is going to be great for blending, softening edges of color. And same with this scrumbler brush. It's a little stiffer, so you don't get as soft a blend, but it's good for just breaking up edges. There's a number 2 just for filling in smaller shapes. And we have a tiny little number 1, and then a liner brush. And those are just for details. So these are the colors you'll need. You got cadmium yellow, permanent green. These are Winsor & Newton. Cadmium red. And then these are Liquitech Basics. This is phthalocyanine blue and then titanium white. And you don't have to have the exact shades and colors, but just as long as you have a green, a yellow, a red, and a blue, and some white, you'll be fine. So I'm just going to show you how well I mix up the colors that are needed for this painting. We're going to use Slow Dry by Liquitex, and this is just a blending aid for acrylics, and a little bit of water. We're going to make a solution kind of 1-to-1 with that on our bristles before blending anything up. And in the wave, the glowing portion of the wave, as well as the background, there's some light yellow, and we're going to use that yellow to mix with some other colors also. So mix that up about 1-to-1, and you get that creamy kind of off yellow. So that'll be used in the background in the wave. I'm going to mix up a little bit of green and white, kind of 1-to-1 right in the middle there. And then we can mix in that with some of the yellow too. And you'll be using that inside the wave. You're going to want purple too. So we're going to mix up that blue and red 1-to-1. Then you'll have a nice rich purple. And then we'll add some white to it, and we'll add some other colors here in a second. But yeah, grab some white and brighten that out, and just build a spectrum of that purple color. And we'll use different portions of it throughout the wave and in certain places. We also want some pink, so just mix your white and red up like this. You can get a good pink for the background. And that blue is bleeding in, but that's fine. You can mix that up too and just use that and get a more unique kind of slight pink purple. But yeah, if your colors mix up on the palette a little bit, you can usually use it. We'll bring some of that pink over and get a interesting yellow, green, pink. We'll put some of that in the wave in the background. But you can mix a lot of these colors just to get a more interesting version of that color. So that's what we did right there. So with the yellow and the green, we mix that pink in. We use that color a lot for in the wave. And we'll just get a lighter blue also. So we'll need that throughout the painting. You can pull some of that, mix some of that in with the purple. But these mixtures, and then there's bright white at the bottom. We'll need some bright white for the wave and for the sun. and for some of the foam that highlights. But these are pretty much the colors, not pretty much, those are all the colors you'll need to do this painting. So go ahead and blend that out whenever you can and have that, and we'll start from there. Alright, so to start out, to get that super soft background with the glowing sun and where everything's really blended well, just get your 1 inch, get it wet with the Flow Aid and water, and then load it up thick with just pure white paint. And that mixture of white paint, water, and the Flow Aid, go ahead and just get a nice layer of that there on the upper half of the canvas. You probably can't see it because it's white on white, but get a nice, like, healthy layer on there. And then just blend it all out and just let that wet white mixture sit, because we're going to blend color into that white, and it's instantly going to soften up the color, give it that sunset haze, and then also it's just going to have a nice wet on wet action as far as blending goes, so we can get a great blend. So there I'm just adding, yeah, you can kind of see the texture of the white paint there, but that's what you want, just a nice healthy layer. Don't slop it on, but you don't want it too thin either, just like a wet, consistent white. And then you can see we'll get some of that lighter purple and blend it in on both sides. And you can see how it softens it up and it's blending into that white real nice. So as we add our colors, we can blend them all together really well. So I'm just kind of breaking it up, blending it out a little bit, just basic, but we're just kind of getting our color into that background here. You can add different colors for this if you want. I just chose to add some pink here. And then the center will be nice and bright with that off yellow that we mixed up with yellow and white. Just get some of that and add it to the center. And then that's just a little bit of pure white in the center. And then we're going to blend all this out. And this will give us that nice background. If you get it right, it'll look like an oil painting kind of. This is just a dry 2 inch, and I'm just blending all those colors together. So the bristles are completely dry, and I'm just softly blending them together. And that's how you get that soft blend. So now just have either a 1 inch or a 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to map out the wave here. And this is the purple that we mixed up on the blue side. So there's a little more blue than red in this purple, and there's also some white in it. So this is that light purple that we mixed up with some blue in there also. But we're just mapping out the wave here. I'm just trying to shape the wave a little bit. And the area that I left open is where the glow will be and the foam. And the dark parts will be on a non-transparent parts of the wave. And the part that's left open right now will be mostly foam and then the glow of that inner tube. Just shaping the tube of the wave right now. and that's where it's curling over. And the rest of it will still be an open wave that hasn't curled over yet. So half of it will be that curled over tube, and then the other half will be just an open wave face, and then we'll put the glow right in the middle where it's the light's coming through the tube that's curling over. So I got some of that yellow and green. I mixed the off yellow, or the whitish yellow that we mixed up, as well as the whitish green, and mixed those together just to get a yellow green there with some white in it. And that's going to be the glow of the wave, just the base background. Because that blue, whenever the yellow comes through, will get a little green glow. So we'll just carry that down a little bit and give it that green glow. But then in the opening to the tube, you want to blend that in well and get that bright green. So that'll be the light coming through the back of the wave. So I'm just adding a little bit of white to that yellow green that we mixed up. I'm just making it a little brighter. Just adding some color to that tube. So I'm pretty much just bringing down colors from the top. There's a yellow, there's a pink, and a purple. So bring down some of those colors and mix it into once this base green is put down. You can do that and also bring some of those colors into the foam later if you want. I'm pretty much just shaping and blending in the greens to that right here. So now that you have that done, we can start to shape the wave. So just get a lighter blue on that blue we mixed up, the white and blue, and mix that with some of the light purple. And then you'll get kind of a purple, blue, white, just a good color for shaping out the actual wave. So now once you start to add this in, then you can start to see that lip of the wave that's curling over. You can see the glow of the wave and it starts to make sense. But just blend that in a little bit and show the motion of the wave there. And then you can start to take shape a little bit. Start to make a little more sense at this point. So this is a mixture of that yellow and pink up in the sky. And we're just bringing some of that color down and putting it on the foreground of that water just to show some reflection. So it makes sense to use the same colors from the sky here in the foreground. Just blend that in a little bit. Alright, so using the filbert brush with that same color we used to shape the wave earlier, just that white blue and that white purple mixed together, we can start to map out the rest of the wave. So up on the crest of the rest of the wave we added some of this, and then now we can bring it down just to show the curve of the wave and build the other side really. So by doing this, we're just kind of adding some variation in the blues, some highlights, some structure to the wave. Leave it soft, kind of blended. You're just mapping it out with that off blue purple. Map out some foam here. Then we can add some of the details later once it's mapped out here with the filbert. So now that darker blue and purple, get some on your filbert and fill in here on the left side near the foam to add some contrast. Fill in part of that wave that's falling over with this dark color. And then also at the bottom part of the other side, and then underneath the foam to add shadows, put a little bit of that dark in those three areas really. So adding some of that dark in the voids in between the lighter blues will give us contrast and really help to build the wave up. Just once you put all these colors points down, on the top of the wave that's falling over, we want to add some dark here. At the bottom of the foam, we want to add some dark, and then over on the left, we want to add some dark also. And just try to blend it in a little bit with that lighter blue. This just adds some motion to the wave, and then we can add some foam on top, and this will have a nice dark background for us to add that contrast to. So just work all this out. You don't really want defined lines with any of this. Not at this point. So using either that scrumbler brush or the filbert, just blend some of that out. And now the wave can really start to be seen. So now we can go in with some of that lighter blue with even a little bit more white mixed in and start to add some highlights to the crest of this part of the wave that's curling over. So I'm just kind of blending it out a little bit, but we're mapping out the foam now, just adding some life to the wave. So just on the tips of the part of that wave that's curling over, just add some of that highlight, and then tap it as you go up and blend it out. But we can just start to map it out there. So now we can go in with an even brighter version of that color and add a few more highlights. The top of the wave, we just added a little bit there just to light up the top. And then the foam, it's the same thing. We'll tap that bright color on and then kind of blend it back just to add these highlights in and build that wave up even more. So just using that lighter blue color, let's add some foam in. So we laid down the dark behind it, so now it has some contrast. So just going with the motion of the wave that we kind of built earlier, just tap it on the top there where it would be catching light, and then drag it down towards the bottom at a slope like that, and then it'll show the wave curling. And just kind of blend that in a little bit. So using that same yellow pink that we mixed together earlier for the foreground, we're going to pull some of that color up into those foam markings that we made. So using just a number 2, trace out those blue highlighted areas that we used to add foam earlier and map out the part of the wave that wasn't curled over and breaking yet. Go ahead and go over those light spots with this color from the sky, and then that'll pull the color from the sky down onto the water, and it'll light up the foam, and it'll really help with a natural look. So yeah, trace out that blue foam just that we mapped out earlier. Just go over those points, and then it'll really show the structure of the wave. It'll start to take form, and then everything will really start to make sense. So once that's blended in, we can move back over to the part of the wave that's falling over. We can get an even brighter, almost bright white, and start to really tap in some of the highlights on the crest of the wave, and just start to add some foam details and some highlights to the actual foam that we've mapped out. So yeah, use pretty much a bright white here and just highlight the top of that wave and bring it down a little bit just to show the motion. And then things will become even clearer. You can pull some of that white up to make it look like spray coming off the top there. So after that, it'll look something like this, with all the foam and highlights mapped out on the part of the wave that's curling over. And then just up on the crest of the other part of the wave that hasn't yet curled over, you could highlight the top of that too, and pull down some of that color over on the other side also. Just adding some of the foam there. Just drag it down until it meets that other foam that you did with the sky colors, and then those will somewhat blend into each other. So you'll get that highlighted bright portion in the front that gets cooler as it gets up near the top of that wave that's not quite yet curled over, and then you'll get the shape of that wave. It'll make more sense. So we can get an even darker blue. It's almost as dark as that dark from earlier. There's some of the purple and the blue mixed together. We can add some of that in between the foam and the highlights. Yeah, anywhere there should be a shadow, we can add some of this dark color and blend it in. It just helps it make it look real. There, so once that's all blended in, you'll have something like this. So now using a smaller brush and some of that darker blue and purple, it's not as dark, you can see as those darkest points, but just with some darker blue and purple mixture, we want to go ahead and add some darkness and defined definition and shape to that part of the wave that's breaking. So this will really map out that barrel and the foam and the actual wave body, just adding this little bit of dark and defining it a bit there on the top especially will really help show that barrel now. So just blend that all out. But yeah, that little bit of darkness up there really, really helps. And have your strokes go in the same direction as the way that wave is breaking. And then it'll make sense a little bit more, and it'll add to the motion of the wave. So when you're at this point, now we can start to go in with bright white on a real small brush, either a number 2 or a number 1, or even a liner brush. But just with the tip really loaded with paint, just tap it there on the farthest edge and add some variables, some bubbles, some foam. These are, detailed highlights here on this portion of the wave that's getting the most light from the sky. So yeah, some of these points, especially right around the glowing part and the breaking lip of the wave, in that central part we want to be the brightest because that's the focal point. That's where the eye's going to go. So just tap on some of that bright white in those areas and really highlight the motion and the foam and the bubbles and stuff that will be there. Alright, so once you've done that, your wave's pretty much done. I mean, you can add little tweaks here and there, but that's pretty much the wave done. And now we can add a little sun right in the center of the brightest point. So in the center of the brightest point, you can use a 2 or any sort of round brush you want, but use a different brush. Add some white and then use a different dry brush and blend out the edges of that white. And then when you do that, so you add just a dab of white and then blend out the edges really well. And then you can get a bright sun point right in the center, which really, that little bright focal point there really, really helps add that sun effect, and it helps everything make sense for the glow of the barrel. So that bright spot, that's how you can add that bright spot and keep it blended well to match the well blended background. And that's it. Hope you liked the video. Hope it helped. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and send me your work when you finish. If you try this, I'd love to see it. Thanks again so much for being a patron and watching these videos. I appreciate you a lot, and I'm looking forward to the next ones. See ya.